All right. Good morning. Good morning. If you're on Central time, and if you're on Eastern time, then it's good afternoon or good noon. And hopefully you had a great weekend, or if you watch this later on, or having a great day or great week. Okay. And get ready for Doc Rock Leadership Talk. We're going to be talking about the leadership tipping point. The leadership tipping point, which is when influence becomes impact, when influence becomes impact. And hopefully you're having a great morning this morning. It is Marvelous Monday. And just know that greatness is in you, but it's a process. It's going to take some work to get it out of you, but it's absolutely in you. You are made. You are wonderfully and fearfully made by something special. I'm telling you, you really are. That's what I believe anyway. Okay. But just want to encourage you to keep going and being great and walking into your destiny, because destiny is important and you can't play with it. Okay. Have big things to do, and not that you're trying to be some big person, famous person. No, not that's all I'm talking. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you fulfilling the mandate that's on your life. Okay. All of us are leaders, because leaders are in leadership is influence. So we all leaders. Leadership is not a title. It's not what kind of car you drive. It's not what's on your business card. It is influence. You influencing people. Okay. So let's talk about this leadership tipping point, when influence becomes impact, when influence becomes impact. And that's what we want to talk about. Okay. Tell somebody to jump on. Tell them, hey, they're going to learn a few things in the next 10 minutes. All right. Real leadership happens when influence turns into lasting impact. Real leadership happens when influence turns into lasting impact. So now you got influence, but when you start to see that influence being impactful, then we know real leadership has happened. This is the tipping point. Okay. Let's talk about leadership versus legacy a little bit, right? Because influence gets attention, but impact changes lives. Influence, it gets attention, but impact changes lives. And so we just don't want to be influential as in, getting people's attention. That's great. I always tell people I want to be a person of influence, not a person not trying to be famous. But then that influence must grow, to change lives, to have impact. And that's where you want to go. And guess what? That's where you can go. Many people reach influence. They have followers. They have visibility. Some even have authority. But the true measure is that when people that follow you, when you start to transform their lives by your leadership, right? Transform their lives by your leadership. And guess what? You don't have to have a certain status in order to do that. Your circle of influence, the table that you're at, you ought to be influencing that for impact today. Okay. And you can do that, right? Because there comes a moment in every leader's journey, when they have to shift from just being successful to being significant. Okay. In this journey, we know that there's a shift that has to happen from being just successful, to being significant. And that's what we're looking for, right? And that's who you are, and that's who you can be. Okay, not just successful, having to obtain some things, but getting to the place that you are significant, that you are making a difference in others' lives. And I'm sure many of you are doing that now. And hey, you got to continue to do that, right? We go from one level to the next level, right? As my favorite book say, you go from glory to glory and faith to faith. Okay, very important. Now, that moment in this leadership journey is what we call the tipping point, right? When your influence moves from monetary to meaningful, from temporary to transformational. This is the tipping point. When that influence you have, it moves from being just monetary to meaningful, from just temporary, just from not just now, but being transformative, transformation. And guess what? That's what we need. And that's what you are going to do. Absolutely. Yes. I believe in you. Listen, if you're going to bet on somebody, bet on you. You hear me say this all the time. Bet on yourself. Because some greatness is in you. Now, as we do this talk, it's going to be part 1 and part 2. The talk is going to cover the differences between temporary influence and lasting impact. All right. Then we're going to talk about how to shift from short-term wins to legacy building. Okay. And then we're going to talk about, steps of how to create a tipping point in your leadership. What are the steps in order to create this tipping point in your leadership? So we're going to talk about those three things in the next couple of weeks. Okay. You can watch this. You can share this with other people, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or whatever. Just, share it with other people, because we're streaming on all those platforms right now. All right. So now let's just talk quickly about the difference between temporary influence and lasting impact. Temporary influence and lasting impact, because you want things to last. You want your leadership to outlast you, right? When you gone, okay, not on this earth, in heaven, okay. Hey, you want people to be impacted by you, or when you out of the room, when you're no longer in that circle. Or no, are you still impacting? Not for you, but for them, right? Leadership is about servant, right? Servant leadership. That's what we believe in. All right. So let's talk about the difference, between temporary influence and lasting impact. Number one is temporary influence. What does it do? It draws attention, but fades in time. Temporary influence. We talk about the difference between temporary influence, okay, and lasting impact. Okay, temporary influence draws attention, but it fades with time. Also, it builds on trends, charisma, or position. This temporary impact, this temporary influence, this temporary influence, it builds on trends, charisma, right, and position. All right, but it's temporary. It don't stay long. Also, it feeds egos. It feeds your ego more than others. It feeds your ego more than others. And we all been there. I've been there. That, you did something, you had a great spark, okay, splash in the water. People was like, oh, they were calling your name, and okay, say you did well, and oh, it was good. Many times that can feed your ego. Even on your jobs, not just you up speaking in front of people, is what you do, in your daily work, right? People say, it's great, that's awesome, you did well, you helped me, on and on and on. Okay, but be careful. That's why I would tell you, be careful, because that can feed your ego, right? More than helping them. Because what you want is not just to feed your ego, you want, okay, that to be lasting and helping them do things. But this is a temporary. Also, okay, temporary influence often is self-focused. Temporary influence often is self-focused. It's about the person. It's not about the people, right? And so we have to be very careful to make it about the people, because a lot of times the temporary influence, it's often self-focused. What about me? We have people in great positions in corporate America, in government, all over, that it's self-focused. It's about them. Now, a few people gonna get helped along the way, okay, but really the root of it is about that person. That's temporary. That's not lasting. That's temporary influence. That's not what we want, right? Now let's talk about lasting impact. It's what we want. So we're talking about temporary, the difference between temporary influence and lasting impact. Now, in lasting impact, okay, it changes people, systems, and culture, right? So you have to change. You have to change the people. You have to change systems and culture. Lasting impact. This tipping point, when you get to the place that, hey, your influence has become impactful, you changing people. Some systems are being changed. Also, it's built on values, vision, and consistency. It's built on values, okay, vision, okay. Corey ten Boom said vision is being able to see further than your eyes can look. So it's built, okay, it's built on values, vision, okay, and consistency. You're doing it consistently every single day or every week or every month, but you are very consistent in what you're doing. That's how you make impact that's lasting. All right. It's not a one and done. Nobody. No, this thing is lasting. In my opinion, one of the greatest leaders that ever walked the earth, okay, was a guy in Hebrew named Yeshua, okay, Hamashiach the Messiah, and people still talking about the things that great man did, right? Okay, so that's my opinion. That's what I believe. You may believe something different. That's fine. When you build an impact, it's consistent. It outlasts you. Number three, it outlives the leader. When you have lasting impact, it outlives the leader. Okay, so it's gonna outlive you when you gone. Okay, when you out of here, people still gonna be talking about the impact and using it to change lives and make people better every day. Remember, we're not asking you to change 100%, 1% a day, 1% a day, and you got it. And then it focused on legacy and service. Lasting impact focus on legacy and service. All right. Want to build a legacy, okay, that goes on and on and on. And then service. You want to be a person of service, helping people, servanthood. I'm telling you, listen, the Dead Sea is dead because the upper Jordan flows in the lower Jordan, flows into it from the Sea of Tiberias down the lower Jordan into the Dead Sea, but there's no outlet. That's why it's dead. You have to have an outlet. Service is an outlet, so you won't become a dead person. Many people are dead. They filled up, but there's no outlet, right? Okay, service is your outlet to have a lasting impact. Go ahead and serve with gladness. Serve helping people, because guess what? We are where we at. All of us, you and I, we're all where we at because somebody helped us along the way. Absolutely, okay? So this is what's important. You know, a speaker may have a viral moment, okay, and influence a crowd. Even on social media, may go viral, right? All right, impact that crowd. That's temporarily. What you really want, and ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying anything wrong with that, but that's temporary. But a leader who mentors, empowers, and develops others creates a ripple effect, right? That outlasts the applause. That's where you want to go. That's where you want to go. Influence is about today. Impact is about tomorrow. Influence is about today. Impact is about tomorrow. It spreads. And here's the deal. That's what we want you to be. Impactful. Talking about the leadership tipping point. When influence becomes impact. Hey, you go out there and be impactful because it's in you, and touch some people, okay? You can do it. All right. We're going to do part 2 next Monday. Listen, it is Marvelous Monday. We have no bad days. All right. Shout no bad days if you're around, or just say it, no bad days, or put it in the chat or wherever you're at. Right. So here it is. It's Super Sunday. It's Marvelous Monday. It's Terrific Tuesday. It's Wonderful Wednesday. It's Triumphant Thursday. It's Fantastic Friday. And it's Successful Saturday. I'm Doc Rock. Hey, you join me at the top. Impact. Go ahead and do it. See you later. Share this with somebody, okay? All right.